Hi everyone. Today with the Open Hearth, we are going to be playing this game, Orbital. Orbital is a Belong That's a Belong game by Jack Harrison, uh, published a couple of years ago, if I recall correctly. My name is Donna. My pronouns are he, him. Um, During this game, I am going to be playing the Shadow, a concealed individual working towards a secret mission. Details to be decided. Um, I guess we're going in reverse character keeper order for our player. Sorry, Mark. You thought you were safe in the middle. I mean, you knew you were going second.
All right. Hi, I'm Mark. I use he, him pronouns, and I am playing Rye, who uses she, her pronouns. Rye is the heart at the station, um, a hospitable individual with their own venue serving the community. Further details, TBD.
Thanks, Mark. And Puckett.
Hi there, I am muted and addressing that. I'm Puckett, I use he, him pronouns, and I will be playing cash only. Uh, I don't know a hell of a lot about just yet, but, play to find out, right? I'm thinking maybe COD, probably some people call, like I said, I don't know a whole lot about cash at the moment, so don't know the gender, don't know the pronouns yet. So, I'm assuming some people refer to them as a leech or a bloodsucker or mosquito or something like that. But, figure that out and play, right?
Absolutely. So that's the source, right? A resourceful individual with connections to get you what you need. Um, okay. So we're going to start. We'll come back to these characters in a little while. We're going to start detailing a little bit about the station. So we have a tab on the character keeper. The map of the station we're kind of going to leave for now. We're going to our characters and a little bit of the aspects of the station will suggest places that we'll fill in. We're going to start with visuals. We get the I guess there's three of us, and there's 2 to 3 of each of these visuals. So I guess we'll go for one each, just to be just to share it around. So there's some aesthetic touchstones describing the physical environment. These don't need to be ubiquitous across the station, but paint in broad strokes. Um, and maybe at some stage we'll decide exactly how large the station is. Is it or kind of what vague dimensions it is. Is it 5 miles long or whatever. So there's structural features. So there's a drop down. There's 3 drop down under structural features, things we found, and marks we made. So uh, yeah, let's go around the table and fill in and maybe talk little bit about what attracts us about each of these features that we're establishing. So, Puckett, do you wanna pick something first?
Yeah. And what are we looking at here? Which page?
Uh,
Fill in the
sorry,
blanks,
so
aspects.
under the station tab in the kind of middle from like AU onwards, there's a visuals column. So we're looking at 3 things: structural features, things we found, and marks we made. And each of those has like 3 drop downs that we can select from.
Mm. God, these are good. Um, I think wrecked spaceships. And our engineers have probably just hauled them in close, welded them on, sealed them up, and presto, we've got more space. We've got more living quarters. I'm sorry, Mark, did you want to pick that one?
I saw that
Or
and
do
I
you?
was like, Oh my God, that's so good. Yes, that is in fact why you suck. Fuck it.
Yeah. Okay.
But man, that is so good, right? I love that.
So what do you thought? What do you all think about that idea? Just having a crew that welds spaceships, like derelict spaceships, beat up spaceships that can't fly anymore, to the superstructure and sealing them up so that they can actually be used as shelters.
It's brilliant.
So
I
it's
love it.
almost like, this kind of archetypical post-apocalyptic thing we have where like shipping containers are like someone's house, but like here we
Mm-hmm.
have the skeleton that is the station proper, but then like we have someone's hatch, which leads to this old strange spaceship from whenever, right?
Yep.
Right.
Okay, that is awesome. And I guess there's still stuff out there, right? But um, but when people
Oh
see
no.
this,
Puckett, are you with
Oh
me?
yeah.
Okay.
okay, yeah.
Done it. You froze for a second there.
Oh yeah. So I was wondering, like have we gotten everything from this old battleground or whatever it is, or is there still stuff out there?
I
I
don't know if
think
it's necessarily a battleground so much as maybe ships limping in on their last.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe maybe some of them are refugee ships or refugee transports. Um, you know, think about the Dunkirk evacuation, like just fishing boats and that sort of thing, but space.
Hmm. Okay, yeah, cool.
So pretty much anything that was remotely space worthy that could get to our station, which is neutral, has been welded on to expand it for living quarters for refugees, for people who showed up, people who work here. Um, on the outside, I'm sure that these ships are ugly as sin, and on the inside, they're ugly as sin. Because you've got all the patching and things like that on the inside, so that you basically block hard vacuum. But you can absolutely, the scorch marks and things like that are probably only visible on the outside. The inside just looks like a mess of quick patches that will, it's one of those like, this is just a fast patch. We'll come back and we'll get to it. We'll get to a real patch job later. Later being a time that actually never arrives.
Hmm. Okay, yeah, awesome. Mark, you looking at something particularly, or
yeah, I don't know what a strand aurora is, but it's extremely evocative, and I can't find any idea of what it is. But going away from that, stained glass, I like the idea of, because it's just very like juxtaposed with what you would expect, I think, on a space station. But maybe there's almost this a part of the space station that has this kind of this kind of older architecture that kind of conflicts with what um, you would expect to see. So yeah, that's my thought. Stained glass.
um, and is it like, religious imagery of some sort, or is it some kind of storytelling? What kind of vibe are you going for here, or is it kind of alien, right?
Mm, yeah, let's go for the third. It was it's something that was designed by um an alien species, and it's a particular type of art that they do that is it's enthralling. It's mildly enthralling to humanity. I'm sorry, are we like mixed species on board the station? Different species?
Yeah, so you can see in the choose a species section,
Yeah.
um, there is the first option for all of us, I think, is human, but then there are a bunch of different options, um, which are all slightly different for each playbook. and then at the end, there's always something stranger. So
Okay.
I think the game is inviting us to have this kind of not just like cultural, but also like species, like I don't know, crossroads or melting pot or whatever your kind of
Yeah.
term for that is. So yeah, we can definitely be alien, but maybe you're um, maybe the point is that the aliens who made this maybe aren't around any longer, or maybe they're like not super present, or something like that. If we want to keep a bit of the mystery.
Yeah. I like that. I think that it was designed by a species that apparently is no longer, that has died out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Awesome. And it's me. I was also curious about Strand Aurora, but again, I have no idea what that means. I mean, it's like I think with stained glass, we can assume that there's going to be light coming into it, which is going to be wondrous. So I might pick something else. I like fractal architecture. And I think maybe this is one aspect where we can kind of see like the old station and the new station follow the same pattern. So where we see all of these cobbled together, latched on spaceships, they also kind of go through that fractal. We have larger ships, then with smaller ships onto them, and like shuttles onto them. But on the older part of the station, there is this kind of fractal construction also. Um, so maybe it's like maybe I don't want to say Borg cube. I want to say something like just this huge uh, um, structure, which is roughly cuboid or maybe spherical. But like if you look at any specific part of it, it doesn't look like that at all, and you can kind of always get further and further into the center without really noticing that you're doing that. Okay. Awesome. So the next group is things we found. And some of these are also cool. So, Puckett, do you mind do you want to go first, or do you want someone else to take the lead this time?
I can go first again. Things we found. God, I'm torn between crystal growths and bioluminescence. Yeah, crystal growths. And curiously, the crystals also seem to be growing in a fractal progression. It's just I mean, they appear to be coming from parts of the station that we have not yet explored. And some people take that as a sign that we should not explore those areas, that perhaps the crystals are in some way, shape, or form contagious in a way, that we could carry them back, like they are born from spores. So there's probably a crew that just kind of quietly takes care of crystal growths in the common areas and the areas of the space of the station that we have explored and used. And everybody knows that they go down with angle grinders and, torches and whatnot. And I mean torch in the sense of like an acetylene torch, not a flashlight. Although they probably have flashlights as well, or at least some form of lighting to take care of these crystals that continue growing in our general direction.
Yeah. Cool. Mark, how about you?
I'm going to. There are a lot of other things that are kind of like in the same vein as crystal growths that are interesting, but I think that going to go with garbled warning messages. The messages, I think, there are speaker systems throughout the station, and these messages will play periodically of their own accord on I think maybe we can't even find what they're emitting from. Maybe they're telepathic. Should they be telepathic or audible?
I mean, if everyone is hearing them, then what's the difference, right?
Yeah. And they are in an alien language that that we don't understand, but we're interpreting it as a warning. It begins and ends with a strange tone that's kind of uncomfortable for many of the species on the ship. They don't play every day. Sometimes it'll be, months between them. Sometimes they'll play a few times a day. It changes quite a bit.
So it's telepathic, but we're just getting a vibe, right? So it's like the vibe is I have a bad feeling about this.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it. That's perfect. That's what it is.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna go with burning braziers. And I think like kind of along the same lines as like stuff that shouldn't be working. We can't find out how it's still working. Like these braziers are still burning, even though no one is adding fuel to them. I think maybe they're like, at intersections or at corners or something like this, like street lamps, but kind of almost like places where people naturally congregate, like whether it's to just for warmth or for company, or maybe there's larger braziers that are like, well, I'm gonna do a barbecue, you know. Who knows? Yeah. Okay. And the next section is marks we made. So I guess how we've wrecked the gaff since we moved in. Puckett, do you have any thoughts on this drop down?
Looking at it right now. I'm going to go with community gardens. Just simple, straightforward. People growing tomatoes, growing beans.
Mm-hmm.
Just compared to everything else, it's refreshingly normal in a lot of ways.
Do you think these are like in the corridors or beside the stained glass, or like where do we think we find these in relation to the like where people live?
Well, I don't think there's probably much room in the corridors, but I imagine there's a few common areas that we've converted, probably with grow lights to make sure that they're getting enough to basically thrive. And that's a fair amount of gear to put into hallways that are not intended for people to be congregating in necessarily. So if it's a larger, broader hallway, yeah, there's probably planters running down the middle of it. But otherwise, common areas, or at least areas that you can actually spread out a bit.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay.
There's also a team that is responsible for making fertilizer out of, well, whatever they can find on the station.
Yeah.
So they are also responsible for making soil that we can grow these things in. Because it's not like dirt just grows on stations.
Mhm. Okay. Awesome. Mark, how about you? Marks we made. No pun intended.
I'm really tempted by paste dispensers. I can't decide between paste dispensers and hand painted banners. Hand painted banners, I think. And for now, I think we'll leave it up in the air as far as what these banners tend to say, depending on what kind of troubles, conflicts, and stuff we have come up. Is that acceptable?
Yeah, but I guess are they like for everything? So like not just like neighborhood signs, business signs, like
Yeah.
whatever graffiti is. Uh, the the role of graffiti, like everything is like hand painted banners or
Yeah, I think everything is hand painted banners. I don't know. I think that maybe we ended up with a cargo ship that was full of these stretches of fabric that are that it's not really suitable for making clothing.
Mhm.
But it'll take paint, okay. And so we have used that to make all these banners, and both kind of like legitimate banners and banners that are maybe frowned upon by whatever authority there might be.
Yeah, yeah, cool. I think I'm going for some juxtaposition here. I'm gonna pick neon lights, and maybe there's this like competing light arrays between the crystal, the stained glass, and these kind of harsh neon lights that we have brought with us. Um, um, and maybe it's not like your archetypical like business signs or whatever, but it's like maybe the corridor lighting um, that was put up. Maybe because there was none. Maybe like whoever lived here before relied on those braziers or the stained glass or whatever, however it is that they sensed. So we're spoiling that ambiance with our neon lights. Okay, cool. So that is our visuals. I love this place. Um, we have to think of a name for the station, but not yet. But we have to now uh, identify 3 threats or community faces. Life on our station is rarely peaceful for long. There's always been threats on the horizon, disruptive, divisive, or calamitous events. We should look to draw connections between the threats, seeing how they could be linked into a larger narrative. However, don't feel compelled to tie them into a neat structure before starting play. In play, the threats don't require equal time or weight. One might naturally become the story's main thread, as the others become subplots, or you might change focus as you play. One of the important things to note here is that for our characters, we're gonna at the end of kind of character generation, we're gonna have like an insight to one of these threats, So there's like 3 insights that we have for each of our playbooks, and we're going to pick one of those and then connect it to a threat and say like what's the charge situation that we start off with. So there is a hefty drop down of these. I think you might be well off to scroll as far right as you can, because when you select the drop down, you'll see that there is a lot of text for some of these. And there's 12 or 15 of them. So have a read, and when you're ready, when you've like seen one, or if you feel like you're going to be gazumped when you've seen 2 that have caught your eye, holler.
I'm hollering.
Okay, go for it, Bucket.
Star-crossed lovers from either side of the war are hiding out here while hunted by their superiors.
Yeah.
Because I've already realized before I even saw that my source primarily deals in places to hide false identities and personal security.
There you go. I hope there's no secret agent trying to track them down. That's all I can say.
I would direct you to the single thing that I carry.
Okay. Mark, how about you?
I'm going to. Why don't you go? Because I was reading through and I also got caught up with star-crossed lovers, and it makes
Okay.
sense. Puck and
Puckett
I
gazumped
are
you
on the
again,
same
huh?
wavelength. Yeah. As
Same brain,
usual.
2 bodies. Sorry.
Yeah.
Ooh. So I am caught between something deep and ancient in the station stirs and things are getting weird, and something much more prosaic. Um, something much more prosaic. A powerful crime lord plans to seize control of this station in a dramatic, violent coup. I don't know if people have any preferences or angles towards those.
I'm assuming that we would probably be more interested in stopping that crime lord, but I like it.
Mark threw up his hands in surrender. Either that means he doesn't mind, or I picked the 2 ones that he was also interested in. But seeing as he hasn't typed, Donna sucks.
Could also be a cat problem.
Oh,
That was a cable problem.
oh,
Hopefully
okay.
it's fixing.
Do you have any
Okay.
thoughts, Mark, on those 2?
No, I love them both. But whatever you're feeling in your gut.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I kind of like weird stuff right now, so I think I'll go with weird stuff. Something deep and ancient in the station stirs and things are getting weird.
I am. I kind of like. I think we're going to go with a critically damaged military cruisers requesting docking privileges and emergency support.
Okay. Awesome. You'll find out exactly who is on the sides of the war in like 1 minute. um, Okay, so there's space for those if you want to like put in an image or whatever. Obviously, if there's like specific people, we'll end up creating uh, spaces for them in the residence, temporary or permanent, or very old or very new if we pull something out of the Babylon 5 phrase book. Um, okay, so we can move on to aspects, but I wonder, given that we're coming up to the hour, do you want to take a break now? Okay, let me. Okay, so we're back and moving on to aspects. Um, so yeah, so I guess for these 6 aspects, we may be picking them up to, let's call it GM in any particular scene, if it's relevant. Each of these has I guess a description of what it's about, some lists which are just stuff to prompt you for ideas and scenes and such, things to consider, moves to make, I guess as the GM, and then there's, in terms of creation, there's a series of prompts just to kind of identify um, some personnel or some sides or whatever. So let's start with the interstellar war, an all-consuming conflict burning across the stars. Um, this is a conflict without end, uh, just about everywhere except our station is involved. So for the creation here, we have 2 sides and 2 differences. So I don't know, does anyone want to um, get the ball rolling here?
So I'm sorry. So looking at the aspects, what we're doing is
Yeah, so
choosing.
yeah, on row 22,
Yep.
down in the left-hand column for each aspect, there are like 2 sections for
Okay.
the interstellar war. We're going to name the 2 sides and we're going to
Perfect.
choose 2 differences. Um, so, I mean, I think you can tell from this drop down, some of these are taken or not taken from sci-fi franchises. CJ Cherry's in here, obviously. Um, so, Mark, do you have an idea already?
Whoops. Okay. I kind of like the host for one of the 2 sides. Is that cool?
Yeah, cool. So, are you happy to just go around the table for every single one of these, or if people want to jump in front of the queue, that is okay by me. But do you want to pick the second of these 2 sides, and then I'll go next, and then we'll go back to Mark and so on.
Hmm. Mark, do you have any thoughts about the host and whether and what type of system the host is? Like, are we talking like Borg collective type thing? Are we just talking like the Empire? Not that I'm referring to any specific sci-fi property by using that term.
My initial thought was that they are some type of they're a type of creature that uh actually each individual organism plays host to a number of lesser or other organisms from their homeworld.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that looks like exactly, but claws. But yeah, so they're not a collective consciousness or anything like that. They're individuals, but maybe, you know, kind of a slightly what's the Star Trek species?
Symbiont.
Yeah, like the Trill or whatever they
Yeah.
are. Yeah. Something along those lines.
Okay. Any idea whether they're like vaguely fascist or authoritarian or collective or communal or
Yeah, should they be the bad guys? Should be the
I don't know.
baddies
That's what I'm
or
asking.
yeah,
I mean, I guess one of the things, like when we establish what the differences are within the two, we'll maybe figure out um, what what side they imagine themselves to be on, you know.
yeah.
um,
Gotcha.
so, and I think these terms are kind of generic enough that they can, you know, they can be just or unjust or ironic or sincere, however we want to put it.
Right. What the hell? Let's just go with the Republic.
Okay. So I'm going to choose the first difference between these two sides. I am going to go for the language they speak as the first difference. I think one of these use basically a new invented language. Maybe it's not new anymore, but it was new when this faction started. They created it to be like the perfect language for a perfect society or something like that.
Ooh.
Whereas the other ones are like this ancient language, maybe had to be revived or whatever, but it speaks to like how they value tradition or whatever.
So you're just talking about Esperanto.
I didn't want to say Esperanto, but you know. Do we think we have an idea which is which in that kind of dichotomy?
Which one has the like the perfect language?
Yeah, and which one is like the tradition?
I I don't even know what the hell that means, Bucket.
Wait a minute. Does this mean, Mark, you've never read The Stainless Steel Rat or
I did
Right.
The Death
not.
World?
Oh my God, no. I'm supposed to have, I know, have
How
read The
can you have
Stainless
missed
Steel
reading
Rat.
the
I
stainless steel rat?
don't know. I don't
Okay,
know.
well.
I was busy looking out the window. Um, I think that the host have developed the perfect language. If Bucket's okay with that, if everyone is, they seem like they're that kind of bunch.
Seems like they would have had to.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Puckett, do you want to pick the next difference?
Um, differences between the perfect language and every other language, which are quite significant. And usually those translation differences, I'm sure this is purely coincidental, accrue to their favor.
So do you
Colonizers.
think the text here seems like should have a capital letter, right?
I mean, it could just be contracts. It could be treaties. It could be any form of ancient document that written in a language that is no longer broadly spoken, so that people can argue about the translations. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a religious text.
Yeah. Yeah. All texts of importance are in this kind of old form, right? And these two sides have this irreconcilable difference in their interpretation of these texts. Yeah.
Well, and this might be part of the reason why the war's still going on.
Yeah.
You know, the reasons why are shrouded in mystery. The contracts, the treaties, etc., that were supposed to keep things in force. We can't understand them anymore. And then here comes this group saying they've got the perfect language, and it just so happens that every single translation difference benefits them.
Yeah. Shocker.
Right.
Okay, great. Mark, let's go on to the station itself. The systems mundane and uncanny that keep us alive. The phrase which I love is duct tape works anywhere. Okay. So we have to name the station assistant. I guess this person is going to become a proper character.
Huh.
I'm inclined
Edie.
to go with what you got.
Edie. I wonder where Edie came from.
What is that from?
Mass Effect 2.
Oh, nice. I like Lorato just because I like saying Lorato. So that's what I have chosen.
So I guess we'll figure out exactly what Lorato's deal is later, right?
Yes.
Okay. That'll be your homework, Mark. Anything already jumping out at you, or do you wanna make that your homework?
For Lorato?
Yeah.
Or Lorato? So they're the station assistant. I think that they are efficient, officious, and curt.
Okay. Sounds good. I'm gonna choose the first directive. I guess this is a directive for the station assistant, though maybe it's for the station itself. What's the difference, we might say? Some of these I like too much. To prepare for the return of the makers and to contain a terrible evil. Ooh. Let's go with to prepare for the return of the makers. Did I steal your idea, Mark? That's a lot.
No, it just seems like I was thinking, wow, that seems like okay, that's a lot. Yeah, and Puckett. I think Puckett's up for this other one, right?
Yeah.
Maintain impeccable records. They document everything, down to the screw, down to the bolt, down to the washer. It's almost well, no, actually it is frightening that they have so little to do that they can do all of that. Yeah. Kind of terrifying.
This is my keeper. Obviously, these columns need to be a smidge wider, right?
It's fantastic. No, I was just like, God, this seems like so much work. How long did it take you to put this keeper together? Obviously, we have a lot of experience doing it now, but
I think, in terms of the community play aids folder, this will be my 99th.
no way. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. So how long did it take you to put it together?
I don't know. Not
Fine.
terribly long. Not terribly long. It's mostly copying and pasting this.
Sure.
This keeper.
Amazing.
Okay. Let us move on to the markets, the ways we trade for resources on the station. The totally not scary tagline is the shape of wealth. So in this one we name the outside investor and we choose two of their intentions. Some of these are great names and some of them are like, I'm surprised these names don't already exist for some terrible corporation. I'm gonna go with Red Sun Galactic because it's the first on the list, but I think it's, the nicest. Right? And that's what they want you to think too.
I mean, Murdoch the Undying is some Warhammer 40k shit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's some Fox shit too. It's really that's disturbing.
Oh, but they resisted putting a K into Murdoch, so I'm not sure what to think. Okay, and if you two can choose two intentions for Red Sun Galactic.
Bucket, you have one that you like?
In the interest of not having you say that I suck again, I will let you choose first.
Fine. Boy, these are really good. I like turn us into entertainment, frankly.
That sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Someone had to say it.
Yep. And I'll go with commodify our traditions.
That is, of course, the other one that I was looking at. So
I feel like they're actually kind of the same thing.
Yeah, totally.
Actually, you know what? They do feel like the same
No,
thing.
no. They're not the same thing, but I think they go hand in hand, right? I mean, you can choose whatever you want, but
I was looking at conditional safety, but not commodifying our traditions is actually more dangerous. So
Okay. So let's move on to the scum and villainy. The smugglers, gangsters, and thieves who haunt our station like moths to a flame. Poor guys. We get to name two major gangs and choose their reputations. I am gonna pick the Orchard Syndicate. I wonder if they started out in one of our community gardens. Mark, do you want to pick the other gang?
Yes. Let's pay our respects to Mr. Yaphet Koto, and we'll go with the Yato family.
Okay. Puck, do you want to pick the reputation for one of these, and I'll do the other?
Just going to go with vicious.
Do you want to assign that to one of those gangs?
Ooh, that's a good point. I will assign that to the Orchard Syndicate.
Okay. And the Yoto family are... Let's go for professional. I think like a little bit of a contrast between vicious, right? But not necessarily too much, but just a little. Okay, awesome. Okay, our penultimate aspect is the unaffiliated, the families, workers, and refugees who make up our diverse society. The tagline is a sanctuary, a statement, a home. So there's only two. I'll leave both of you pick one each. There's an upcoming event and a naming system. I guess the naming system is like for streets or I was about to say regions of like areas of the station. And an upcoming event is, something social, festival, whatever, that we're going to see.
Mark, which one do you want?
I was gonna ask you. I'll take the name of the upcoming event. Is that good?
It works for me. I'm still laughing about Wimbledon.
I know, me too. It's really hard not to choose Wimbledon.
What is that, space tennis?
Damn, Wimbledon is good. Feast of Saint Lazare is good. Obviously, Loudfast. I feel like in honor of Puckett, I should choose Loudfast. But I
says the guy wearing the Pixies shirt.
Well, I'm going to go with Lavender Phase though, because that sounds very evocative. I like it.
Okay. I guess we'll find out what that means in play.
Yeah.
And our naming system is haphazard and unplanned, which I think is... Does this mean it's like based on the ship name or completely like indecipherable?
When we're always welding new bits of the station on, it's hard to keep things consistent.
Yeah.
So I think the way that it works is that people who live here know that there's somebody in each area that you talk to, and they kind of keep things straight about who's where and what it's called and how to get there, and might even lead you there for like, a token of appreciation. But part of this is because, well, a lot of times we have people here who don't want to be found. They're running from one side of the conflict or the other or both. And a haphazard naming system helps keep them hidden.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, if everything's chaotic, it's real hard to find the needle in the haystack that you're looking for because it's all needles.
Okay, so that is our unaffiliated aspect. Lastly, the lambent strand, a glowing thread weaving every life together into a great tapestry that ties that bind. Okay, I mean, are we legally obligated to say this is similar, legally distinct, but similar to the Force? uh, well, we get to choose two other names.
Are either one of those other names the Force?
Yes.
Jesus Christ, there it is right there.
Yeah.
I've seen reference to in the materials to the weave.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's quite nice, personally.
Do you have other thoughts, Puckett?
I always have thoughts.
Do you have other inclinations, or will I pick one?
Yeah. I think just to be obnoxious, there are people who call it the current, just to go against the current.
Okay.
You know, they might also be people who tug on strands in the weave. You know, maybe that's maybe that's more of an opposing way to look at it. Maybe the current is a different way to be for people that people see it.
Okay, so I'm gonna choose the first of two ways we see it. So I think there's gotta, like, I don't think it's gotta be completely mainstream. I think there's gotta be a sizable portion of people here who just think it's maybe not a hokey religion, but smoke and mirrors. Maybe an unsettling sensation. Like, mm, yeah, let's go with smoke and mirrors. It's just like this station is weird, man. You know, don't read too much into it. Puckett, Mark, I will leave the two of you to fight over the last option here.
Take it.
Okay. Two ways to see it. A holistic energy, man. That's what it is.
Is that also what you said the last time you saw Fish in concert?
That's just like an opinion, man. Okay, awesome. So that is our aspects done and dusted. We'll come back to these. Characters. Some of you have done more than I have. All I've done is pick a picture and a species. I get to choose two names for my character because, you know, of course I do. Do you want to give ourselves a couple of minutes to pick these out, and then we'll do like a quick intro?
So I'm sorry, what things are we picking out here?
So I guess we have to name our
Oh,
character and then choose species, looks, styles,
okay.
and so on.
I'm on it.
Okay. So this part of the video is going to be very boring, but bear with us.
So once we've completed that section through traits, is there another area to do?
Yeah, so I guess what we'll do is we will introduce ourselves, and then we'll do bonds and residence and stuff like this.
Cool.
Yeah. So are you good to go, Mark, or
Sure.
you still?
I think I'm ready. Okay. I am playing Rye, who uses she, her pronouns. She is the heart. Her species is Amano, which is a type of amphibious alien. She has amongst her looks are she has, instead of regular eyes that one would expect, they're just dark orbs. She has an inflatable waddle and exudes genuine warmth. She wears a tired apron and round glasses. I think I actually took glass. No, there it is. Carries with her an array of utensils. And amongst the services that the Heart provides at the establishment are quiet spaces to talk, a sense of belonging, and songs to help you remember. And maybe we'll interpret that, I guess, in play. Visuals include for this establishment, vibrant fabrics and smoky haze. Are these the things we want to be covering here right now, Donna? Am I doing right? Now you're muted, son. Donna, you're muted, bro.
Yeah. So most of these are just choices we make. There
Okay.
is, I forgot about it actually because I was too busy choosing my own. On the next tab, fill in the blanks, there's like a kind of a script, which doesn't make a huge difference except in a couple of them where it's like, I think on those 3 traits, it'll be something like you consider yourself blah and blah, but some people think I am something else, right?
Okay.
Um, but so far so good.
Okay. I have an echo, which I don't see the other characters having, which is their muffled screams, which
So
sounds very
in the
bad.
fill in the blanks, this is like to this day I am haunted by.
Their muffled screams. I see. Excellent. And her traits are empathetic, charitable, and um, a homey feeling. Sorry, I was looking now for the heart. I consider myself charitable and um, empathetic, though I'm no longer home. I wonder if I ever will be again.
Okay, awesome. Um, so yeah, let me introduce my character, the Shadow, a concealed individual working towards a secret mission. Um, the name suggestions said an evergreen tree, and I said, "Oh, I'll Google evergreen trees," and I saw hemlock is an evergreen tree, so I guess.
That's awesome.
Um, so this person's name is Hemlock or Pangolin, which like look like reptilian, but they're really like cute mammals, you know. So I don't know what that means. I guess my real name is Hemlock, but the name I'm known as on the station is Pangolin. Right? I'm a Camborn, which is a shape-shifting alien. Uh, when you first see me, you will notice my augmented eyes, my perfect teeth, and my menacing aura. My style, I guess I'm always wearing a hood and a permanent scowl. I'm also always carrying, though you'll probably never see it, a memento of home, not a concealed weapon, because you'll never notice that. My assignment is to. I was sent here by my mysterious employer with a mission to prevent a hostile takeover. My cover job is as a hydroponics attendant. I slink about the station without a fixed home. Sorry, my assignment, however, has been complicated because I've started having weird visions. And I slink around the station without a fixed home. I present myself as surgical and stoic, but in truth, I am broken. In the end, will I carry through with my mission? Okay. Puckett, how about you?
So the funny thing is, I go by cash only, which is hilarious because I deal in favors and goods. Money's no good. That doesn't mean anything to me. I mean, you bring me some currency, some kind of script, and what are the odds that government's going to be around in 5 minutes anyway? You know? So I deal with favors. I deal with bartered goods, those sorts of things. But, you know, people still think of people who do the sort of work that I do as taking money. So, you know, here we are, cash only. So, but yeah, I'm human. I have a convincing smile. If you look at my hands, you'll notice two things. I have very well manicured nails, not like they're covered in nail polish or anything like that, just very clean, close clipped, you know, nice nails. And you may notice that my fingers tremble on occasion. It's a side effect of carrying a shotgun wherever you go and having used it a few times. I wear a flight suit with a utility vest over it. I keep that shotgun more or less concealed, but it's absolutely there. Anybody who knows me well knows that just because they can't see it doesn't mean that I forgot it. The three main things that I deal in are personal security and places to hide and false identities. There are people who come to our station looking for a way out of things, and I am the person who often is able to provide that for them. I help them lay low until I can get their papers ready, and then I help them get out as safely and securely as possible. You can usually find me hanging out in my private booth. I'm curious, Mark, do you think that's at Rye's Bar or establishment?
Yeah, I think that would be fantastic if it was.
Okay. All right. So, you know, I've got a private booth there. You know, it's always empty unless I'm there. And if I show up and somebody's in it, they don't remain in it. And my traits are that I'm self-assured, organized, and I'm established. I know what I'm doing. I do it well. And I have a reputation to maintain. I do not suffer fools gladly.
Okay. Awesome. So we move on to our bonds. There are two questions for each of us, so I guess that keeps it very neat. Or those are going to be with the two other characters. Does anyone feel like going first? Any slam dunks they have on their list?
This is again bonds, right?
Yeah, bonds. Yeah.
I mean,
go ahead.
I was going to say, looking at the shadow,
Mhm.
I feel like I might be keeping the true identity secret.
Yeah. I guess the question is why, right?
That is a very good question. I suspect it's either because you've already done me a favor or have promised me one in the future.
Or if cash only pushes a hard bargain, both. um, is there anything?
I very much run that business where it's like, listen, don't worry about it. Just someday I or someone on my behalf will come to you and say they need a favor. And on that day, your answer is yes. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You drop it and you deal with whatever it is that I need help with or that the person I've sent you needs help with.
So, do you think so? Like keeping my secret identity uh, intact, was that like blackmail, or was that like you kept me safe when someone was looking for me?
Probably more that I kept you safe when somebody was looking for you.
Okay.
It could have been that you'd gotten really badly injured and I was making sure that you got medical treatment at the time.
Yeah.
And if anyone had found you during that time, that would have been it for you.
Cool. Okay. Sounds good to me. Mark, do you have one of those
Yeah.
bonds you want to cover?
So I think that it makes sense then that I ended up working for you um by
So that's my question, which would be directed at Rye, right? So like I am
yes.
working at your bar, or like in your rooftop
Oh.
garden, or something like that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was reading it the wrong way. So does it make sense that you would end up working for me?
Why not? Like
Okay.
I can hold down 2 undercover jobs, right?
I think that um Rye was having some unusual some guests that she did not want in the establishment. And they would not stop coming until they got some kind of message from Hemlock. Whatever that message might have been, I don't know. But I think that now, so there was a payment, and then of some type, and that kind of arrangement has just continued since then. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So like you're aware that I'm not just a gardener, then,
Yeah.
or it's like is Rye the kind of person who doesn't ask questions that she doesn't want the answers to?
She doesn't need to know a lot,
Yeah.
but she got to maybe she got the sense or something that you are in fact more than meets the eye.
Okay. Do you want to establish who the people or the faction were who were causing trouble? Like
Yeah.
one of the crime gangs,
Crime
or
families. Yeah, I think it was the orchard. I want to say the orchard keepers, but that's not what they're called, is it?
The Orchard Syndicate.
Orchard Syndicate.
Yeah,
Yes.
the vicious ones. Thanks.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, if anybody's going to deal with it properly.
Great. And they never returned. How about one of your bonds, Mark?
Let's see. I mean, I don't feel like either of you is going to come to me in tears. Oh, wait. Maybe it's not tears because one of you is crying, but it's tears because you encountered some kind of caustic agent or something that's causing you to cry.
Well, I mean, I don't want to completely write off the idea that either of us could cry because, that yeah, it seems like a strange thing to
Yeah.
just completely write off.
Okay.
What do you think, Puckett? Do you have a hankering for that, or will I take it?
Well, Mark, what kind of establishment does Rye run? Is it a bar or?
It's a bar that also serves some food. It's not the best food on the station. It's not the best drinks, but people come to the establishment because it is homey and accommodating to folks. I think that maybe she and her staff make a strong effort to know the clientele, know what it is that they want, and make sure that they get what they're looking for when they come in.
Okay. So let me know if you want to change any part of this, but I have a sneaking suspicion that about half an hour to an hour after closing one night, you just heard this banging on the door.
Okay.
And I stumbled in, smelling like a distillery. And I was a wreck because a kid, meaning, like a young adult, that I had managed to get out of the system because they were trying to escape the war. I found out that basically bounty hunters working for the host had tracked them down and brought them back and forced them into combat. And as an example, they put them on the front line with no weapon, with a predictable outcome. And it really messed me up because I thought that kid was safe. I mean, once they were off the station, it's not like I could do a whole lot more for them, but I thought I had done enough. And the paper just their paperwork, their legend just didn't hold up. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's great. I love that. That's perfect.
Of course, by the next morning, I was a little bit hungover, but doing my best not to show it and pretending that the previous night just didn't happen. But
Perfect. So Donna, you want to take on what rumor did I hear about you yesterday?
Well, it can't be anyone else. I think maybe something like someone say, are you overheard at the bar maybe? So like, a typical kind of bartender hearing bits and pieces that maybe don't make sense. I think you heard that I was doing something like talking to the crystals, or uh like helping to cultivate the crystals or something like that. Does that sound weird enough
Yeah,
for you?
that's weird enough for me. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. That's awesome. Thank you.
Um, I mean, I think if you were to mention it to Hemlock, they will like go, well, that's just crazy talk. Uh, um, but it might still be true, you know.
Talking to the crystals, that is bizarre.
Uh, Completely bizarre. Um, yeah. Puckett, you got two bonds to make with
I
us.
do.
Hopefully, we haven't painted you into a corner on them.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think so. So, first question, who would like to have requested something that I have not yet been able to find?
I mean, that seems like it's up your alley there.
Sure.
Done.
I wonder if it's something like, and maybe this is like before it happens, like
Mhm.
the the crew list for this cruiser, right? That is one of our threats. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you want you want basically you want to who the ship's staff and personnel are.
Yeah, exactly.
Have we named that ship yet?
We have not. We have to name the ship, and we have to name the station. But I guess we can mull that over. Um, okay, so I guess the other one, Mark, you're left with.
So the question that Cash Only is asking of Rye is, why did I insist you didn't have to pay?
Yep. What did I do for you that you didn't have to pay for?
Um, I think that it is, I mean, there's the simple part of the arrangement, which is that um, how do you feel about kind of working out of, obviously you have your own booth, working out of Rye's establishment as as almost a headquarters for the type of work that you do. Does that play for you or not really?
I thought that's what we'd already agreed on. I've got that private booth, and that's basically, if I'm there, I'm open for business. If I'm not, I'm off doing something for a client.
So I think that maybe it is a situation where Rye is providing cash with space, point of contact, basically an office to work from in the establishment. Does that satisfy that question, or do we want something else?
What did I do for you that you agreed to that or offered that?
I think that you provided Rye with some contraband that is I think that it's a situation where you provided them with water that was bottled on Rye's homeworld before everything went toxic, and due to some unknown event related to the interstellar war. And it's hard to come by now, but Rye uses it as part of her daily ritual.
Okay.
She either drinks it or like splashes it on herself or something like that.
Okay, I'm just looking at the time. Maybe it's where'd your break? Okay. So we are nearly at the finishing line for our characters, in terms of creation at least. So we've got two more things to do. One is residence, and one is insights, which we need to kickstart our story. So residence, there are 6 options for you to choose 2 from. So these are 2 NPCs basically who will put in the residence track. This is not Traveler. Although I don't know, prejudge that we couldn't be playing dead characters. That sounds completely plausible.
So a cross between Our Haunt and Once More Into the Void?
Yeah. Or the whole game is a flashback to find out exactly how you ended up that way. Dead, So I've kind of picked 2. I've certainly picked one, the spouse I married for cover. So I think this is going to be someone called Ivy. Sticking with the evergreen sheets here. I think Ivy works like in what passes for I don't want to say maintenance, but but maybe mapping, like some kind of survey team who are trying to figure out as much as they can about the twists and turns that we don't know much about.
Yeah.
Um, I wonder if she is being kind of, or was blackmailed into marrying Hemlock, um, like a favor to brush something under the carpet or to get rid of some problem. That makes sense. Okay. So when you, on your character tab, when you like select something from the drop down, you should see that option appear in the residence tab in your matching color. But then you've still got some space to like write in whatever you want. And obviously a space for an image. Mark, do you have an idea for one of your resident connections?
Yeah, I've got the perfect employee that I just can't stand. And I think that no, I'm saving that name. Their name is uh I'll come up with a name, I guess. Boy, so much pressure on names. It's the biggest part of role-playing games, right? I think that the situation is that this perfect employee has lots of great ideas to improve the establishment, and can't stop talking about them. But they're fantastically efficient. They're good at the job. They're great with customers, but just want to they want to change things, and Rye does not want things to change in the establishment, which I guess I still have to come up with a name for. So that's the relationship there.
The name of the establishment is obviously going to be Whiskey by Rye.
I mean, it makes sense, right? You're right. So I'll come up with a name for them in a moment.
Puckett, how about one of your connections?
Really quick, it looks like the options for residence between the source and the heart got copied over from, it looks like option, well, yeah, the first time. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I had to refresh. Although it still says the vent rat who can get in anywhere on the heart.
That's what I chose for the heart.
Okay, but
Is
it
that
looks
not?
like for some reason.
Oh, he's not supposed to be under the heart.
Okay. Let me open the PDF and see. Obviously
It
copying and
looks
pasting.
like that second option under residence on the heart copied the options from the source.
Well, I want the vent rat pocket, so I guess we're gonna have to fight for it. So
You know, I carry a shotgun, right?
okay, that's a good
I
point.
mean, I don't have to be particularly specific as to where the person is, as long as I kind of point it in the general direction.
Yep, you got me.
Okay, so looking at the PDF, the source is the debonair smuggler, tranquil hippie, vent rat, and
Okay.
the heart is the perfect employee you just can't stand, the long-time assistant who's stealing from me, my best friend and occasional lover, the software
Oh,
ghost that watches over me.
okay.
In okay, so obviously, let me.
It's correct on line 30 of the data tab.
Okay, so it looks like it is the lookup. So let me just play with that a second. Okay, so it looks like line 56 is correct, but line 57 is not. So I just pasted those across, so you should be good now. So
Got it.
yeah, sorry, you still can't have the vent rat, but you know.
So the funny thing is, the vent rat, it prefers to be just called rat.
Checks out.
Um, and I'm sure this was just one of those almost cartoonish interactions. Rat was running along one day, a couple of disreputable types in pursuit, and I basically just like snatched him up by the back of his shirt, threw him into a basket or locker or something like that, closed the door, leaned against it. So it looks like nothing had ever happened as they ran off and got confused looking the other directions. And then they split up. And then I opened it up and said, "You'll live longer if you don't make enemies of people who are twice your size, especially if there's more than one of them." And every so often that kept happening until the point where I said, "Look, you're starting to make a habit out of this. Why don't we just kind of formalize this relationship? So maybe if people know that you're doing work for me, they won't be chasing you and trying to kill you." So, like I said, I deal in favors. Kid knows how to get in everywhere. Not a literal kid. He's like 20, but still young enough. Young enough to make bad decisions and theoretically young enough to survive the consequences of them. Mark, you look like you have questions. Okay.
Just listening.
Okay, I have a second one in mind, but really, this depends on you both. I'm looking at my reflection that started talking back to me, so I'm not sure whether you want to be doing that when you're GMing a scene with me.
Yeah, I think that we can manage.
Okay, I'll just struggle to come up with an image for this NPC. uh, yeah, I think it's, is it connected with my strange visions? I don't like, I haven't made that connection yet. I think it's just like some like the PTSD that I'm not talking about. The voice in my head that's always been there has now started to manifest as like me imagining it in the mirror or whatever. How about your second connection, Mark?
My second connection is the software ghost that watches over me. That is Squill. Squill uses they, them pronouns. Squill is the remnant of an old administrative system that ran the station. And for reasons unknown, they have taken a they've taken a kind of protective stance regarding Rye, and usually communicate with Rye via the kind of terminal systems that run at the Whiskey, which is Rye's establishment. That's about all I know, I think, at this point.
Okay. Is Squill like how people make orders as well? Is like Squill also doing other things, or just looking out for Rye?
I think Squill still lives in the shipwide systems. And I don't think that they really, so they don't work at Whiskey. They
Okay.
don't take orders and so things, but things like that. But they get around within the station's systems and so on. That's my thought.
Okay, awesome. And Puckett, how about your second?
So I kind of have a soft spot for people who find themselves in a bad way and just need a little bit of help to get out of it. You know, whether that be hiding them for a little bit or threatening every single dealer on the station that if they sell any kind of narcotics to this person again, that I will personally see to it that they're put in an airlock without a spacesuit and introduced to the finer points of the void. You know, as one does, because sometimes people need to get clean, and only the threat of immediate, irrevocable, terminal harm to the people who want to use them with goods and make money off them will convince those people to stop doing the wrong thing. You know? But yeah, came to me asking a favor of helping him get clean, and I obliged. And, you know, the good news is people just still think they're a junkie and, well, don't really pay much attention. Or if they do, it's just kind of like looking sideways at them like there's something wrong with what they've done. You know, like any of these people couldn't have found themselves in the same situation having made one or two different mistakes in our life or different decisions. But you know, it's the great thing. People like that are almost invisible, which means they can hear things and see things that no one will pay much attention to because they just write them off. So, yeah, they collect information for me. I will come up with the name in a little bit.
Okay, awesome. So, insights or inciting incidents, as I like to call them. But I'm here all week. So there's a drop down here for you with three options. And you'll use this to connect your character to one of the threats facing the station. Consider which looks most interesting. And I guess this is what we might lean into in our first scene. So I am looking at my oldest adversary looks like they're in charge. And I'm going to pick the star-crossed lovers as the threat. So my oldest adversary is hunting our star-crossed lovers. There's a space to fill in some details about that, but I think I'm gonna mull that over. Maybe some backstory for this NPC, and for our the reason that we are what the reason that we are consider ourselves adversaries. I wonder if we work for the same people or not. Mark, how about your insight? What do you have in mind?
Yeah, I was looking at a suspicious manifest was mislaid in my place, and I was just looking at the threats to see what jumped out. I know there was mention when we were looking at bonds, something related to oh yeah. Pangolin wants a crew and passenger manifest for the critically damaged military cruiser. So a suspicious manifest was left in my place, and I'm going to add that it appears to be manifest for that cruiser. Is that cool? The
Is that
cruiser
cool with Puckett?
Fine by me.
Oh. Adding that information did not work well. I violated the rules of the cell in some way.
I mean, it's a drop down, so you can below
Oh.
that section you can put in below
Yep.
that section you can type in like the bit about the cruiser, and in the
Thank you.
colored section below that you can put in whatever details you want.
I'll go away now. Quiet. Thank
Not
you.
a perfect character keeper somehow.
No, it's fantastic. I was just misusing it like an idiot here.
Puckett, how about you? What are you thinking of for your connection?
What I was looking at was finding a stowaway in a crate with a story. Because that certainly didn't come out of any science fiction television series that we've seen in the last 20 odd years.
Are you connecting that with one of the threats?
Oh. Yeah, one of the star-crossed lovers. It's just supposed to be like an ordinary autopilot shipment, not even no people aboard or anything like that. I started unpacking the goods, and then all of a sudden, there's this. Everybody seems like a kid to me. I don't know why. It's not like I'm that much older than they are, but seriously, it's just. I was moving some crates, and then all of a sudden, here's this kid like, "Oh my God, don't shoot me!" And it's like, "What the hell are you doing on my ship? There wasn't supposed to be any crew with this." And that's when that story started getting told. So now I need to find her partner and get them both transit visas and get them the hell off of the station before anybody figures out who they are and where they are. And well, that would be bad for everybody. Probably most for them, but yeah, it's going to suck for all of us.
Okay. So I think that is that. So I wonder if we have enough time to do our quick, very quick starting scene. So this is really just an introduction to our characters' kind of daily lives or whatever we're up to right now. Do people think we have enough time to do this opening scene?
Sure.
Yeah.
Give it a shot.
Yeah, so this is really just a minor scene to show our character's life before the threats start manifesting. Either of you have anything in mind, or do we want to? I'm happy to jump first.
Go for it. Make a good example for us.
I think we see Hemlock kneeling in this rooftop garden and like sinking his kind of cold gray fingers into the dirt, like feeling the roots or feeling like what the stalks of these plants are like under the surface, and then looking very, I mean, judgmentally at the fruit of this plant. Maybe it's like a tomato plant or something like that, and stripping away some leaves that have not quite turned but are going to go that way. And there's like a secateurs in his in their hand, and then it's this one is ripe. Snip into the bag, and then we see them, like move down the line and do the same thing on a couple of more plants. And one of them, they're looking at like, okay, I'll come back next week. That's your last chance. Puts the secateurs away, and then they get a bleep on their communicator. And it's like a docking report for this cruiser. And we just see them like walk away, walk past the row of plants on this garden and disappear into onto the next rooftop.
Sounds good. Puckett, do you have something in mind? Or should I go?
Of course, I muted myself. I have a sneaking suspicion that whatever I come up with is going to involve you in some way because, I mean, where else is Cash going to be but in her booth at Rise?
Totally. That checks out. Would you like me to go first then to set up Rise place?
Yeah.
Whiskey? The whiskey? Okay. So I think that we open on this smoke clouded, very comfortable kind of tavern that is like on a space station. Sometimes you have those rows of shops, almost like a shopping mall. And it is crowded, but fairly subdued. People are respectful. They're not overly loud. They're not generally drunk. And we see Rye working behind the bar and also tending to the tables. Their employee Lalo is also there and working very, very hard, very fast and efficiently, getting things out to the tables. Making sure that everyone has their favorite things to drink. And you really get a sense that she knows who her customers are and tries to take care of them. She's a little bit more reserved with a detachment, not a detachment, with a booth with about 4 soldiers there who came over from the military cruiser, the irregular Apocalypse, that is asking for permission to dock. And when they leave and she is cleaning up the glasses, she notices that there is a little data crystal that has been somehow left underneath a napkin, and she slides that into a pocket on her apron, and then makes her way back to the back behind the bar to continue working.
How many people are in the restaurant at this point? You said it's kind of busy.
Yeah, there aren't really any open tables except for yours if you're not there, your booth or table.
I'm probably sitting in it, back to the wall, facing the door, drinking a cup of coffee, tapping away at a data pad, and periodically talking to someone who has their back to the door. Rye, of course, would recognize this individual as Rat. Because, you've probably caught Rat coming through, a vent into your establishment on more than one occasion. Hell, for all I know, that may be part of the reason why Rat works for me now, because because I basically convinced you not to kill him. But I see, unless you don't want me to see you with the data crystal. Do you care about that one way or another? Okay. I think I see that and take a sip of coffee, and I wait until the restaurant and bar the traffic eases up. And I'll catch your eye and raise a cup of coffee, which is not our signal for I need coffee. It's when you have a moment, come talk to me.
And so Rye slides in next to or wherever is appropriate for her to be in your booth.
No,
Um,
I've already kicked Rat out. He's on his way.
okay.
And it's your place, so you can just slide in wherever. I think we have that kind
Yeah,
of easy familiarity with each other.
that sounds great. Um, and she is she has a cup of coffee that she's working on as well. And
So
she's brought a pot over to refresh yours. Go ahead, see. Sorry.
saw you palm something off that table.
She looks around and she knows that there are public parts of the station where um there are public parts of the station where our friends from bloody hell, where is that? What's the name of the company that is
Red Sun?
Red Sun? Yes. Have set up cameras uh because they're doing a kind of a reality thing about life on the station for their viewing public. But nothing can
Yeah.
really see into the whiskey. And she reaches into her apron, hands it over to you, and says, "Let me know if there's anything interesting."
I absolutely will. And this is from those four who came in off the ship.
That's right. They were. Have we decided whether the regular Apocalypse is a host or Republic ship?
I don't think we have.
You haven't yet.
What do you think? What do you folks think?
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't think it's.
Fuck it, you care?
I mean, just based on the names alone,
Yeah.
I feel like I'd be more inclined to be helpful to the Republic as opposed to the host, because the host has a ton of insect or religious or other meanings, all many of which either strip away individuality or are kind of controlling or whatnot. Whereas the
Yeah.
Republic, I mean, you can change a Republic.
It's
Usually
perfect.
without too many bullets.
So it was host soldiers that we saw in here. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
So yeah. By the way, Red Sun was trying to put up some cameras in the area, but I had Gail take care of it. People don't know that she's clean now. They just still have her thinking, they just still think she's an addict, which means that she can do any amount of things that just seem wildly erratic, like screaming at the cameras and how they're monitoring her and they're following her and that sort of thing, and then like taking a bat to him. So I'm sure they'll put more up, but at least in the short term, you're clear.
Excellent. Thank you. Can't thank you enough, my friend.
Well, it doesn't help me having a bunch of cameras around this place, because frankly, Rat's skinny enough to go through the vents and everything like that. Me, I think I've had a few too many meals here to be able to fit into one of those. And I'll grin at that.
We'll try to keep you plump.
I mean, that's not what I was saying, but sure, okay, fine, whatever.
So, are we happy to wrap there and
Yeah.
dive into
Thanks.
it? Dive into the deep end next week. Okay. Let me stop the recording and then we'll do our debrief.